Hello everyone. As a former student who has studied in an American university and an Indian American who has lived and worked in America for over 2 decades, I was rather fascinated and intrigued by this latest communique from the US State Department that's asking prospective students and prospective immigrants and visa applicants to share all their social media accounts and to make them public. And there is probably a rationale behind it. So let's look at what and why all this is happening and the context behind this. So the message from the US State Department, also reposted by the US Embassy of India in their social media accounts, is very simple and clear. It says effective immediately, all individuals applying for an F, M, or J non-immigrant visa are requested to adjust their privacy settings on all their social media accounts to public to facilitate vetting necessary to establish their identities and admissibility to the United States under the US law. So the message is very simple and clear. Now, the details are posted in that communique. It states the State Department is committed to protecting our nation and our citizens by upholding the highest standards of national security and public safety through our visa process. A US visa is a privilege, not a right, and they continue to emphasize that point. So, what they go on to say is that to facilitate this vetting, all applicants for F, M, and J non-immigrant visas will be instructed to adjust the privacy settings on all their social media profiles to public. Overseas posts will resume scheduling these immigrant visa applications soon, and every visa adjudication is a national security decision, which means US must be vigilant during the visa issuance process to ensure that those applying for admission into the US do not intend to harm Americans or our national interests. So the message is very simple and clear here. So let's look at what and why. America has historically been a free country, encouraging free speech and dialogue. So the term free country is freely used all the time. However, that freedom of speech is a privilege and a right that comes with responsibilities. So what's happening is social media tools are increasingly being used as a tool for radicalization. And that is an extremist step that we need to watch out for. Now, we have seen what's happening in the US campuses, including at top universities like Harvard and Columbia. Students have taken over campuses by voicing strong opinions on, say, public issues like the Iran-Palestine conflict and other wars. And sometimes these peaceful protests are also amplified on social media by radical activists. So let's take a case in point. There's a student, Ranjani Srinivasan, who was doing a PhD at Columbia University. Her visa was revoked by the US for advocating terrorism after she joined pro-Hamas protests at the university. So she was asked to self-deport to India to avoid a military deportation flight. The sad part is her parents had sent her abroad so she could study and make something of herself. But she couldn't resist the urge to get involved in activism. She lost the privilege of her visa and her ability to continue her studies and finish her PhD. Social media went wild. There were conflicting opinions on this, but all of those are opinions. At the end of the day, Ranjani had to face the brunt of this. There was another recent story that broke out on the internet. An anonymous student in New York was caught and deported. Now, there's an Indian American who took to social media to post his opinion on this that caught our fancy. The guy had posted a video clip and was also quoted on media. He said, the poor guy looked like a student, lost and broken and visibly resisting officials Over and over he pleaded in Hindi, मैं पागल नहीं हूँ, मैं पागल नहीं हूँ. Which is to say, I'm not mad, but they are trying to prove that I'm mentally unstable. Now, this guy says he is someone who has lived in the US for over 22 years, building businesses, creating jobs, and calling this country home. But at this moment, this person was deeply moved. He felt like he was a spectator in his own internal conflict, and his heart bleeds for India. Yet the mind operates within the US system. So, what are we to do as Indian Americans? We have to follow the law, and the law of the land is what is being dictated right now. While reading all this, if you are a student in India, you're pretty smart, you're astute and social media savvy, and think, oh, I can simply remain anon on social media. Bottom line, no. Don't even try to think that you can remain anon. The message from the US State Department is very clear. They want access to all your social media accounts. Hiding your accounts or going anonymous on forums like Reddit or Quora will not help you. If you think you're smart, imagine the kind of tools NSA and other US agencies have access to. So don't even try to beat the system. It made me also reflect on the story of Arya Anand that broke out about 6-8 months before all this new law, new regulations and new news came out. This guy, Arya Anand, a student, had faked his profile, completely faked his profile, and claimed that he had lost his father while his father was happy living back in India, and sought full scholarship from Lehigh University. And he got that and got to travel. But the guy couldn't shut his mouth up. He decided to post anonymously on Reddit. Now his lie caught up with him, and the university rescinded his visa and his student application, and he had to be deported back to India. All this brings us back to this whole new regulation and new news that's coming out. It really comes down to basic ethics and basic ability to follow the law of the land. If you are going to America to study, make sure you follow the law to the T. US Embassy in India sent another advisory a while ago that very clearly says using illegal drugs or breaking any US law while on a student or a visitor visa can make you ineligible for future US visas. A US visa is a privilege, not a right. Message is very succinct, very simple, very clear. Follow the law. If you decide to go to America to study, just follow the law, the policies, the processes, and focus on what you're out there to do. Study, acquire your knowledge, build your life and career, and possibly build your American dream. Good luck.